Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. I'm Shaylin Stimson, the events manager at Tech Manitoba. Thank you for joining us for today's Tech Mashup on navigating digital transformation, automation, AI, and geopolitical adaptation. Technology is evolving fast, and businesses that embrace automation and AI are finding new ways to work smarter, cut costs, and make better decisions. At the same time, external factors like global politics and economic shifts are creating new challenges that businesses need to navigate. So that's exactly what we're going to discuss today. As we gather virtually from Winnipeg, we'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Cree, Oji-Cree, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We recognize that our community and our work in technology sector benefit from these lands and the resources here. At Tech Manitoba, we are committed to fostering respectful and inclusive spaces within the tech industry. We recognize the importance of Indigenous knowledge, creativity, and contributions in shaping innovation. As we work to advance technology and digital growth, we remain dedicated to building relationships and partnerships that respect Indigenous sovereignty, knowledge sharing, and collaboration. We're grateful to live, learn, and work on these lands, and we are committed to working towards a future that respects the histories, contributions of the Indigenous peoples in Manitoba and across Canada. So before we get started with our main event today, I wanted to quickly touch on some upcoming events we have. If you haven't already heard, we are bringing back our second annual MB Tech Week. So that is kicking off in a little under 2 weeks. So Monday, February 24th to March 2nd. MB Tech Week is a special week-long showcase of the best and the brightest in Manitoba's tech community. So there's events for all ages and abilities. Our theme this year is Tech Everywhere, and we're exploring how technology is woven into every aspect of life. Currently, we have over 30 events on the calendar, so really is a whole bunch of different topics, different event hosts. Some are virtual, some are in person, all sorts of opportunities there. I'm just going to quickly highlight a few. So the kickoff event is called Ignition. It is hosted by Tech Manitoba. That one is taking place in person at the Delta Hotel from 5 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. We are going to have a powerful evening of networking, thought-provoking discussions and celebrations. We're going to talk a lot about taking risks and the rewards that you can get from that. So tickets are on sale until Sunday, and Tony is going to be popping the link in the chat. Another Tech Manitoba event during Tech Week is Crossing the Border, the Canadian Startup Dilemma. So this one's going to be Wednesday, February 26th at 4 p.m. at the Third Space. So it's a cute little art gallery downtown in the Exchange just on King Street. Canadian startups are at a crossroads. Should they focus on their own domestic market or set their sights on the US? Especially right now, there's so much going on. So this decision is not easy, and both paths present unique hurdles. So Juliana is going to guide us through strategies to balance these competing priorities, empowering founders and teams to make informed decisions on their growth trajectories. That one is also free to attend and would be really great for anybody who is looking at ways to find more investment and capital. And then I also want to highlight an event that Focus Forward is putting together. So data-driven decision-making, how tech is empowering businesses. This one is going to be on Thursday, February 27th at 1:30 p.m. And this one is virtual, so you can really attend from anywhere. Discover how AI, machine learning, real-time analytics, Microsoft Azure can optimize operations and improve efficiency. Engage in interactive Figma activity, live polling, discussions with peers while gaining insights into leveraging Microsoft Power Platform and Azure for business information. So we definitely hope we see you out at some of these Tech Week events. There's, like I mentioned, something for everyone to choose from. So now let's get to today's topic. I'd like to introduce our speakers. We have two incredible leaders who bring a wealth of experience in business transformation, automation, and strategy. First up, we have Adam Van Schindel, president of Focus Forward. Adam is a visionary leader with deep expertise in supply chain management, manufacturing, logistics, and higher education. His passion for continuous improvement and process automation has helped countless organizations enhance efficiency, drive meaningful change. With a strategic mindset and commitment to innovation, Adam is a key force in helping businesses navigate digital transformation successfully. Joining him, we have Gord McLean, Vice President of Marketing at Focus Forward. Gord is a dynamic marketing executive known for crafting impactful strategies that elevate brands and drive business growth. With extensive experience in design, mentoring, and creative strategic development, he bridges the gap between innovation and execution. As an entrepreneur in residence at Northforge, he also supports emerging leaders, aligning business design for long-term success. So together, Adam and Gordon bring a powerful combination of technical expertise, strategic thinking, and creative problem solving. Let's give them both a warm welcome. And Gordon and Adam, feel free to join me on stage.
Hello.
Hey. Awesome. So if you want to test pulling up the presentation while we wait for Adam to join too.
Content.
Okay, perfect.
1 second. We had it a second ago.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Were you doing the share button? Yeah. Share window.
It says embed presentation content.
That's if you're clicking the present content button.
Okay.
Try the share button just with
the share. That would
keep it simple. Thanks for hanging in there, everyone. We'll get this up and running real quick. There we go. It looks like it's firing up now. Perfect. I'll hop off stage and take it away.
Thank you.
All right. Very good. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so I will kick things off. We'd like to thank everyone for joining us here today, and a special thanks to Tech Manitoba for hosting us. These are interesting times. Though the path isn't always clear, the world and the people who share it always seem to find ways to move forward. So hopefully this presentation is going to be helpful in helping everyone move forward and stay focused forward. Next. Going too fast. There we go. So we have a lot to cover in this webinar, so let's jump right into it. At our core is a desire to help our clients leverage design thinking to incubate ideas into action, leaving a positive and lasting mark on this world. So for this presentation, we're obviously going to be going over everything covered here, but we hope everyone will stick around and maybe have a question or a comment. We'd be happy to have that discussion at the end. So as we prepared this webinar, one word kept on coming up all the time, and that was agility. So as we go through this, keep that in mind, because more than ever that I can recall, the word agility and business are going to work really well together, and those companies who have agility are going to be able to weather whatever we're in right now. Nevertheless, it's going to be some level of change, which is fine, but those companies which are agile are going to be the ones which succeed. So focus forward. What is focus forward? Well, we're a leading edge digital transformation and design consulting firm. So we use strategy and technology to automate, optimize, and position for enhanced business results. So in layman's terms, we make data useful. We break down silos and drive optimal communication internally and externally. This is an interesting slide because if 91% of businesses are engaged in some form of digital transformation, it means that some companies are all in, they're doing massive amounts of digital transformation, and then some companies are just doing smaller one-off projects. But nevertheless, it's showing us the value that companies are seeing in digital transformation and an agreed need upon it. So what is digital transformation? I'd like to say that we wrote this, but we have to give credit to IBM. They kind of nailed it, and quite frankly, couldn't think of a better way of wording it. So this is bang on. But one thing I'd like to stress in this definition of digital transformation is the word business strategy. I think too many times companies and people are quick to go to the tactics and forget about the strategy. And especially for digital transformation, it's not necessarily the cheapest endeavors, but with a good strategy, that investment will pay off. So as with any business initiative, digital transformation is about achieving a result. So, the key areas of focus that digital transformation works on is the people, the data, the insights, actions, and results. But this is a nice overview just to give you a sense of how it works, how dynamic it is, and the places it touches your business. So the benefits can be substantial for digital transformation, impacting every facet of the organization through streamlining internal operations, reducing costs, empowering organizations to deliver superior customer experiences, and ultimately making smarter decisions with the data that you get. But also a big benefit to most companies is the continuous innovation that's absolutely needed in this rapidly evolving market. Down. So for us, when we were looking at digital transformation, we see digital transformation as being equal to agility. It's absolutely first and foremost at helping create that agility for companies these days. So here we go. So as we're saying in our marketing, isn't it time your data works for you to get that information flowing and making it useful and helping contribute to the agility inside the organization? Once again, to try and help illustrate digital transformation, we were looking at the value and effort matrix. So high level is up at the top, high effort is over to your right, and digital transformation truly goes after two main areas. One is strategic transformation and one is automation transformation. So strategic transformation is very high level, usually very outward facing. It's a lot of the things that a lot of people want to be a part of. It's very important because it's usually the driver of the business in driving things forward. But at the same time, underneath your business, you have all these elements which go into place that keep that machine working and working well. They're arguably as important, but one gets much more recognition than the other. So the automation side is something that tends to be overlooked and maybe a little underappreciated at times. But both strategic and automation transformation can be absolutely perfect for digital transformation. So we've just highlighted here two areas of where are the sweet spots for digital transformation, where there's high effort and high value. And also, I'm going to say lower value, but high effort. So that would be the automation side of things. And when I say lower value, I want to stress also, if it's lower value, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be done. There are things probably in most companies where you could argue maybe we shouldn't be doing it, but there are some baseline foundational elements of your business where we have a lot of people working on things where perhaps digital automation can come in, streamline that, so perhaps your workforce can be change their focus and move more towards a strategic side of the business. And I will pass it over to Adam for processing.
Thanks, Gordon. Everybody, so here I'm going to take you through a little bit of how we go about doing things on our end. And we like to start talking about business processing or process consulting. You know, there's one thing about going to talk to a lot of different organizations and really trying to figure out exactly what they want. That's kind of what we're trying to go and do for everybody, be those digital transformation guides. And one of the things that we like to do is really go step by step, and that's at the beginning. Really try to understand your process first. What are you wanting to improve upon? Where do you find that you're having these issues, or there's time sucks that are in some of your processes, and you just wish that some of these can be taken care of by automation? Well, at the beginning, we want to be able to do a little bit of a deeper analysis and try to understand, where your bottlenecks, where you think that you'll have some quick wins, or where you need to go and be able to gather data so that you could start utilizing this for decision making in the future. So we want to make sure that you have all these ideas beforehand, but at the same time ensuring that if we're going to be making a change and bringing you to automation and AI, is that it makes sense for your business and for that process. And when you think about your business, you tend to always want to think about, it's kind of the leaders that are coming in here, and they're the ones that want to go and implement this. But a lot of times, people get forgotten about, and those can be the managers or the low-level employees that are utilizing these processes every day. And so we try to bring that up in our conversations, making them aware, bringing them in so that they can be a part of improving the process, because anybody that's utilizing it quite often probably has a lot better information or suggestions to bring along. Gordon, if you want to go to the next. So as I was mentioning, so the first thing that we want to look into a lot of times is understanding the process, having those analysis, try to understand what your current state is, and then trying to figure out exactly what's the type of digital integration. Is it something that needs to be built from scratch, where we come in and try to do, or is there already existing tools out there, such as like what's a good example? Stripe for payments. That's already in there, and we utilize that together with anything that we create. So just trying to find that right balance of what is already out there and what you need to have created specifically for you is important. We then want to go and try to map out these processes as well, so we can really try to figure out where those sweet spots are, or like I said, the bottlenecks, where there's room for improvement, where this needs to be a discussion or coming from us where we can suggest how to move forward with it. And then once we figure out exactly what needs to be developed and created, we're taking you along the way. We're having those meetings and communicating with you, trying to figure out exactly how this best suits your needs, and showing this, because a lot of the times you don't always want something that's being pushed upon you. We rather go and create something with you so that you have your input along the way, finding some way that it works for you. And even when you go and create a tool, you always have to think about how you're going to be sending reminders to your team, or how communication might be going in and out. And those are important parts of it. And we're only going to know based off of, the information that you'd be providing. And like I said before, when it comes down to change management, really trying to figure out what the benefits and what the executive team is wanting to get out of this, but then also understanding below as the people that are going to be utilizing this, how this is going to be improving their lives, how we can communicate to get their adoption into this. Because the last thing you want to do is spend all this money trying to get a tool or software that works for you, but at the end of the day, you have pushback from everybody else because they weren't brought in at the beginning, and now they're either not wanting to utilize it, and then you're either looking at giving up on what you just brought, or sometimes people end up leaving, which is even worse, and now you're having to replace them. So there's a lot of things that it goes to do when it comes down to technology and implementing it the right way. And then once again, continuous improvement, trying to find that way of when you start understanding automation and AI and start getting your feet wet with what's capable out there, you're going to start getting that understanding. And I like to try to tell people, like, you get a little bit addicted to it, because now it's like, oh, now I understand. Now I want to be able to do this. I want to do that. I want to improve lives. I want to be able to take all this repetitive, mundane tasks off my employees' shoulders and have them work on some other projects, put them in different places that can better utilize their mindset and skills. So yeah, and I'll be touching more about that and with automation and AI going forward. At the end of the day, when you want to be able to talk about leveraging technology, take your time, really try to understand who you're going to be going to work with, who you're trying to hire to help you along the way. But first and most important part is the business process. Really try to understand what's important to you and what you're going to get the most bang for your buck, if you want to say it that way. Because sometimes people want to invest in something that's really, really big, but just kind of like Gordon was alluding to, try with something small, really see how these small little things, even though they could be really small tasks, but seeing how they can improve your business rapidly. Okay, now the fun part, communicating with a developer. So a lot of times, just like this picture shows, you get in there, the developer's talking to you one way, the client's trying to talk to you another way, and you're not seeing eye to eye. And it's sometimes difficult when you're having somebody that's so used to being behind their screen and working on developing. I'm not trying to knock any developers out there, but sometimes the communication skills might not be their best. But then it's this is where we kind of want to help with people and trying to understand the developers a little bit and what they can go and say. You can go into the next screen. So setting clear objectives, defining your goals, exactly what you're here to go and make it as crystal clear as possible of what you really want. It makes it a lot easier for them. Understanding the basics. So if you do yourself, a benefit would be if you know that there's something that you want to have developed, go do some research as well, seeing what else is out there. Try to get some understanding as to what you're looking for, what your expectations are. Use proper business language. This is more just trying and talking away that relates to your business, talking so that they can understand more of what you're looking for internally will be helpful for them. Once again, be specific about your requirements, what exactly you're looking for. Don't be ambiguous or vague. Try to be really clear to the point, because it's that type of language that is really helpful for them. A lot of times developers already know what's out there. So if you're just straight to the point, or they might just be able to ask you more questions of what you're looking for, but it's really helpful in that way, because if you come in and you're not exactly sure, there's that part as well, but then communicate that part that you're not too sure, and then they can just start listening to you. But spending some time looking into what you're looking for, like I said, goes a long way. Collaboration, being open, create open communication for both sides. So if anything ever comes up, I always tell with my developers, make sure you're always readily available for any small little questions. You want to make sure that the client is always going to have that peace of mind that they can go and ask any type of question. I know everyone's always afraid of the stupid question. Trust me, don't do that. The last thing you want to do is be this far, super far into development, and then it's like the developer brings something to you, and next thing you know, oh, this isn't really what I wanted. And I'm sure that stuff still might happen, but trying to create an open line of communication is really, really big. Data quality. Once again, if you're trying to bring something with technology, obviously you want to utilize that data. Try to explain to the developer what you're trying to pull from within this business process. Like, just from the sake of, creating something that could be a digital form, but at the end of the day, there might be some key pieces in there that are metrics that you want to be able to pull out and utilize at a later time. So trying to explain those are really useful. Okay, my favorite one, understanding limitations. Yes, as much as amazing as automation and AI are, and we can do a ton of different things, and a lot of times developers want to come in there and like wow you, especially, we want to have that wow factor. That's how you're going to get business. But at the same time is understanding that, okay, there might be some limitations. Third-party developers, you guys might want to have something that comes together, but if the third party doesn't want to work with us, or doesn't have an API or something that's available, we might be in trouble, and we either have to figure out something else. But not everything is always going to work out in the way that you want it to. So once again, that's kind of where, for my developers, I really try to talk to them about talking about expectations and letting people know. Encouraging testing and iteration, especially when you're doing technology. Nothing is ever, and if you're doing something from scratch, just like what we usually create, nothing's ever going to come out 100% perfect. There are going to be a lot of iterations and testing, making sure you're getting exactly what you're looking for. Once again, there could be that communication where you're saying one thing and then you're expecting another. So you might have to make some changes. Sometimes these can take a couple of days to a few weeks, depending on what it is. But once again, having that understanding and talking to the rest of your business or employees, so they're aware, it will be beneficial in the long run. Provide feedback and stay engaged. We love feedback. That's the one big thing that you want to be able to provide, whether it's good or bad. We need to be able to adjust and make sure that you guys are going to be satisfied in the end. So even if there's something that we might have missed, or even when it comes down to the way we've communicated or anything, you need to be able to get that information. And then once again, lastly, creating a supportive environment. You want to be helping the clients that you're working with, or even when it comes down to the clients talking to developers, is having each other's back, being there when the things get going tough. No one wants to have any disasters or anything like that. But at the end of the day, reassuring each other that you're fully committed and here to get things done, and it can go a long way and reduce that walking on eggshells type of thing. Go on to the next. So lastly, like I said, we can go switch. I kind of already talked about that. So automation, quickly on automation. This is kind of what a lot of people see when they think about automation, a belt, making a burger, that type of thing, but that's not really necessarily what it is. Now that everybody else thinks when it comes down to digital automation, this is probably what they think. It's like, oh, now they're taking something that's been around for the longest time and digitizing it. No, this is not exactly it. For automation, what we're trying to go and do is, as I mentioned, trying to take some of those manual processes that you've been having for the longest time, whether it's paper or having to get up and go and do something, send out emails. Communication can take a lot of time, but trying to take those away and try to automate it. So try to create triggers so that if when something occurs within a program or when information comes in, that something can be automatically done. Something that might be high accuracy, getting those massive Excel documents or spreadsheets when you have so many numbers that you have to go through and something gets missed, it can be really detrimental to each other. Utilize that for automation. The accuracy is exactly it, and you want to be able to make sure that there's no errors that are going in or going out, because that can be costly in the thousands, hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars, depending on what your business is. And why is automation important? Once again, it's going to make things more efficient. It's going to take those time sucks, those things that are away from your employees that they're spending way too much time on, and having them refocus on other projects, or as I like to say, having this as a tool. Same thing with AI, but being able to, instead of focus on these things that are taking too much time to do, instead you can be focusing on customer relations. A good example I was just talking to somebody about was they wanted to have a chatbot, and to me, chatbots are going away from what you really want to be able to do. You want to be able to spend more time on the customer focusing side of things, having that human feeling to it. Because I'm not sure if you guys are the same as me. The minute I get on a phone and if I start hearing a robotic answer on the phone or even online, and I know it's going to be an AI, I want to go and talk to somebody. And I know it sounds funny for somebody who's coming from, trying to talk about automation and AI, but facing the facts, everyone does the same thing. They want to be able to connect and talk to somebody. They don't really think that AI is there yet to be able to answer all their questions. And even if it is, people still want to talk to a human and have that conversation. So that's why I always say, like, automation AI can be that tool to help you get rid of like some of these small mundane things off your plate, so then you can focus on the customer side of things. You could have these conversations. And even if it's not with your customers, having it internally with your peers, with your bosses, communicating is really important. And once again, there's cost savings, there's consistency, there is real-time savings in going with automation and AI. But as I was saying before, you need to really dip your toes in there, really understand, know who you're getting in business with, making sure that they have your best interests in mind so you can move forward. There's other bigger things, mitigating your risks. So this is, from more the executive side of things, is how can you go and collect all this information and being able to get data to work for you? How can you forecast with the data that's coming and changes that are happening? And we're going to be talking more about the geopolitical side in 2 seconds, but and being able to make adjustments on the fly. If you can't do these things and it's taking you weeks to months to adjust, this is where your competition, who's already investing in automation and AI, are going to surpass you, and they're going to be able to adjust, not waste a ton of money, and be able to answer to the needs of the market. Lastly, so digital automation, once again, it can empower your organization. It's going to boost that efficiency. Agility, very big. You want to be able to adjust when you need to. Minimizing human error, that's going to be saving you from the cost perspective, but also from doing rework. And you don't want to have any of these type of things. And overall, reducing your operational costs will be really important. AI, okay, the topic of our time right now with AI. A lot of people, when they think AI, they're thinking the worst. The robots are coming. As you can see in this picture, the robots already using their binoculars to see what these humans are doing and how they can take them out. No, that's not how we perceive AI. Just like I was talking about with automation, I find AI in automation to be more of a tool that people can go and use. There are myths out there about it taking jobs. Yes, it might take some smaller jobs or some things that need to be reworked. A lot of times, as I said, you're trying to take some things off your plate. But the bigger thing I think people are going to start realizing is just what I've already mentioned, is from the customer perspective, is that you'll have more time for them. You're going to have more time for other things that are going to improve the business. Something I probably didn't mention already, but we're in the great retirement, and there's a huge demographic in our population that is set to go and enjoy their retirement, but that's going to create major gaps within the workplace. And we're already having troubles trying to hire, but there's going to be a large amount of knowledge that is going to be missing, and be able to capture some of that ahead of time before these people retire, and getting that with them working with something with automation or AI and get their information could be really helpful, because that knowledge can be captured and utilized for years and years to come, and can be helpful with AI to take that mindset going forward. And AI, just like in this slide, is nothing new. Like, we've been utilizing AI for a little bit of time, like, from banks to weather systems, for our guidance on where to go. These things have been around for a while. It's just now it's more available. There's lower code options so that things can be created quite rapidly for you. So for us, when we're talking about AI implementation, with Focus Forward, I always talk to my team, and just like I was mentioning before, get your feet wet, get your understanding. But there's a lot that can be done, and you really need to understand is what you want the AI to go and do for you. If you want it to look at your data and try to suggest what needs to be done next, if something's changed, or if there's something that went wrong in your warehouse and now you're going to be behind, like, what is this going to impact for your supply chain? This information is going to be vital. Whether you want to go and do a quick summary as to what is happening within your facility, and you want to get a report, you can go and do that with AI. But we're trying to keep things a little bit AI light. We don't want to go and start connecting a lot of stuff for your what am I trying to say? For your financial data, like something that's really, really important to you that you don't really want necessarily getting out of there. So making sure that your AI is touching certain areas within your business, or you're having it develop and think of it in a certain way that it can talk to people and help them out. But in no means do you want to be able to create something that's going to be taking some of your vital information and potentially having it shared with the wrong people. And AI, where it is right now, it's not perfect. And I think a lot of people need to have that reminder, is that it's getting there. It's going really, really quickly, the development on AI, but at the same time, there are mistakes. And it's important to know that not to rely 100% on it. And just when it comes down to people's jobs, like I said, it's a good tool to use, but if you're going to go in and have it replace someone's job, there's going to be a major risk in there, and you don't want it to backfire on you. So once again, what's the benefits of AI? Just like automation, has ability to provide efficiencies, give you those decision-making tools so you can be more agile in the way that you want to make your decisions within your business. You can go and train the AI to think more about your business. A good example is like ChatGPT. The more you keep using ChatGPT, the more it starts learning who you are and the persona that you are. I utilize it, and there's a lot of times where I might go throw something in there, and it already knows that I'm talking about my business with Focus Forward, and it goes and suggests something in a way. I'm like, okay, I didn't even mention about this being for Focus Forward, or I need it for business. It just knew ahead of time and it adjusted for me. So there's things that are great when it comes down to that. When it comes down to safety and innovation and cost savings, those are all things that are part of AI that you have to make sure that that you're going to be getting out of this. So we can keep going on. I've got another bigger point I can make. So when it comes down to AI, I always like to talk about, just as I was mentioning, like really understanding and having that awareness of AI. We were just talking about job displacement, like yes, but it also is going to be creating jobs as well. I always like to give an example of McDonald's and how, when you go into McDonald's in the past, it was lineups at the register and there's so many people in the back end and everyone's running around everywhere. Nowadays, if you go into McDonald's, what is the first thing you go to? Is you go to that purchase screen and you're getting exactly what you want. You're printing your receipt. You're just sitting there waiting until your number is called up and you grab your stuff and you go. There's probably one person that's standing guard in case something goes wrong, but everybody else now is in the kitchen. They're all focusing on the customer, getting exactly what needs to be done and getting it out there. So that's kind of a way when you're finding automation and AI working for you and making things a lot smoother for something like McDonald's. Another part I like to talk about on the AI side is bias and discrimination. Once again, know exactly who you're going to be going to get your AI from. There's tons and tons of businesses out there from around the world that are trying to sell you on AI, and there could be dangerous consequences if you're getting the wrong type of developer when it comes down to this. If they're not thinking the way that you think and you're allowing them to provide you with answers in a way that you don't think, then this AI is not going to work for you, and you might go from one AI to the next. So it's better to really look into these things, have that conversation with a developer, and really figure out who they are, how they go about their development, how they are. You can almost do like an interview with them, because at the end of the day, that AI, you want it to think the way that you think. Your lack of accountability, there's security risks when it comes down to AI. Yes, a lot of people don't trust it right now, and for good reason. Like, it's not perfect. It's gonna take some time still. There isn't that human touch, that people, as I mentioned, want to have. There are ethical concerns. There are the ways that information might be coming out to you, and you might go and utilize this as being the gospel truth, and the next thing you know, you might have said something wrong. Chatbots, they can go and say something on your behalf, and you can upset a potential client. You don't know exactly why, but then when you go and look into it, it's like, oh, okay, this isn't the right information, or this isn't really a good way that it presented the information to somebody, and you're losing business that way. And once again, that over dependence. Take your time with AI. Really try to understand it. Play with it a little bit. Really get comfortable with it. Making sure that internally everyone's is happy with whatever AI you're bringing into the business. And that's, once again, the change management side of things. So once again, with AI is here to stay. It's promising, it's transformative. AI is going to reshape how customers, companies that you're going to be doing business with. It's not just you getting AI, but there's going to be other companies using AI. And I'm sure there's going to be one day where it's going to be AI is going to be talking to AI from each other's businesses. But once again, that's kind of where I rather have it more human to human and let the AI help you internally as opposed to externally. But once again, that's my own bias.
Okay, so I'll jump in here now. So governance for digital transformation refers to a structured framework within an organization that defines policies, roles, responsibilities, and processes to effectively manage and oversee the implementation of digital initiatives. Ensuring alignment with strategic goals and driving successful change across the business throughout the technology adoption. So once again, in sort of more simple English, it's a set of rules and guidelines that govern how an organization undertakes its digital transformation journey. The global investment currently in digital transformation is set to double between 2022 and 2025. Here we are in 2025, and we just see a massive amount of change and disruption happening across the world in many different ways, geopolitical, environmental. But the one thing that we keep on going back to is businesses don't like change. They want predictability. So that's part of this message in behind everything of trying to digitize all of your information, people, processes, and efficiencies, so you get information quicker and respond to the changes that we know are going to happen. And whether it was now or even if it was 10 years ago, there was always an element of change. It just feels as though there's an element of almost greater or faster change. And that even simply might be being driven by digital information. So looking at governance, integrity, integrated security by design, enhanced data protection, proactive risk management. All of these things, digital transformation has a way of helping and supporting. A big thing that digital transformation has done is made us go back and look at how we set up our information digitally. Largely, it's been a carry forward approach where we keep on adding things in, new technologies, new ideas, but we haven't had to necessarily go back to the drawing board and look at the security concerns or even why and how we go about managing this digital technology. But with new emphasis being put on making it more strategic and making it more overarching for an organization, it's forced us now to go back and have a deeper look at those systems and make sure that they are up to snuff in terms of who gets access, who doesn't get access, and how do we protect what is rightfully ours as a company. So digital transformation has been actually exceptionally good at helping us go back and look at weaknesses in our security. So it doesn't only drive the operational efficiencies, but that integrated approach to security. So as we break down silos, integration for communication is very important, but also integration for security is equally important. So coming from someone who used to work for an engineering company, a lot of our IP was digital, and protecting it was vital, but it meant that where do you protect it? What servers? Which ones do you trust? Who are you, quite frankly, in cooperation with for trusting that information? So for us, we rely on the Microsoft Power Platform. Microsoft has been a proven partner in terms of protecting assets. And it's also in particular for Canadian, they protect Canadian assets on Canadian servers. So they don't necessarily protect Canadian assets on American servers. But that's actually been a good thing because there's more regulation in Canada. So technically, we have more protection for Canadian assets on Microsoft servers up here in Canada. So, so it's been a very, very good thing for us. So in 2025, Global supply chain will continue to face environmental disruptions, regulatory pressures, and geopolitical tensions. This is about a year or two old now, and it's amazing how accurate it is. I think we're also at a time where we're unsure of how far things are going to ramp up. We keep on seeing storms and things like that get worse, but what does that mean for business? What does that mean for people? It's all going to have an impact. And even though a lot of our focus today is on digital, the reason why we're doing all of this has still got to go back to people. People are the cornerstone for business. People are the drivers of business. They are the workers of business. And any level of disruption in either a home life, a business life, is going to have an impact on business and trade. Increasingly, we're seeing it, but businesses definitely need to be prepared. And I'll pass it over to Adam for geopolitical instability.
Okay, so this is, on everyone's mind right now. What is going on in our country? We've got some geopolitical instability. We've got, a neighbor to our south that is not making our lives easier on the business end of things. We also have climate change. That's also a really big, impactful thing that's happening within Canada too. And both of these at once is making, a massive headache for all of us. And that's kind of where we wanted to talk about when it comes down to automation and AI, and just like how we're using that agility word. There's also the instability, and nobody wants to have that instability. You have budgets that are based off of forecasts. You're trying to figure out exactly what's going to be coming up, and to be able to change on a dime for a lot of businesses can be difficult. But that's kind of where the automation and AI starts coming in, where you can go and start creating forecasts that are built within automation and AI. And when something that comes up, talking about tariffs, you can start utilizing that information and seeing how is that going to impact your business. What is going to happen with these tariffs? What exactly do you need to do internally and externally? What clients do you need to go and talk to and calm down when it comes down to these things about your business? So they're readily assured, but you want to be able to have data, have information when you need it, to be able to adjust on the fly. And just like what has come out, there's 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum. That's just coming for everybody from the US. Well, now if you had something within for automation and AI that was able to go and look and see how that's going to impact you, what is this going to mean? Are any of these commodities something that you're going to be utilizing a lot of that is going to drive up your costs? Well, you need to know that. Do you have any suppliers that are utilizing these products, and is it going to impact how much you're going to be able to purchase from them? It's a lot of questions that you need to have answered within a day, within an hour, within a meeting. And that's kind of where you're going to be able to get that impactful assessment when you start utilizing automation and AI. Even when I was talking to somebody about their products, and now when it was back then about the tariffs coming on, making those adjustments, making that changes, like being able to do that manually, or being able to have something that's done automatically just by entering what the percentage increase is going to be and having that done. Once again, it's having these quick things done for you that is going to be helpful. Let's go to the next slide, Gordon. And just like I was saying, when you want to be proactive in the adaptation to this, there's going to be other businesses that are doing already going to be doing this thing around the world. Things are going to change rapidly. It's going to be going up and down. I'd love to say that, hey, automation AI is going to smooth things out, but it's just going to be able to have you improve your decision making when we're in this chaotic world, because we don't know when the next tariffs are going to be slapped onto us, if we're going to be able to find other ways to go about this by going to Europe or Africa or somewhere else when it comes down to our trade. But then also having that continuous monitoring and improvement, utilizing AI to keep an eye out what's going on in your external factors, what's happening in the stock market, what's happening in other places around the world, and be able to get reporting coming to you that way, so that you're not waiting by the grapevine to find out, oh, this happened or this wouldn't happen. How is this going to impact us? But if you're able to utilize AI to get an external report developed for you right away, daily or weekly, you can be agile. You can be able to stabilize your business. So I'll let Gordon continue on. But like I said, if anybody ever wants to have more of a conversation when it comes down to what type of techniques can be used when it comes down for AI and automation, I'm here. I'm available and love to have this conversation. As you can see, I love to talk. So anyways, back to Gordon.
Okay, I'll just be very, very quick. So at our core is a desire to help our clients leverage design thinking to incubate ideas into actions, leaving a positive and lasting mark in this world. So this is a picture of both of us. You've heard who both of us are. So I'll quickly move on, because I know we're pretty much out of time. But with all the talk about digital solutions, particularly with AI, we put an emphasis on technology, which is supposed to help. But as I said just a second ago, putting people front and center in our decision making, whether it's technology or not, that's how we always go and look at solutions to help people, move people, whatever the case may be, get information to people. But that's why in our mission statement, we say we are driven by the fundamental belief that human-centered technology is the impetus for enduring business success. So, and that is it for us. But thank you very much, everyone, for listening, and we are around if there's any questions.
Thank you so much for that presentation. It does look, so if you do have any questions, there is a little tab off to the right of your screen. So there's the chat, and then there's also a Q&A tab. So that is the perfect spot to pop in any questions that you may have. So there are a couple to kick us off, which is great. And if you don't have a question, feel free to look at the questions and you can upvote ones that resonate with you, and you can also make them anonymously.
Okay, here, I just
so
okay.
the first one we have is, how can a company measure the success of digital transformation efforts?
A lot of times we like to build in capturing your metrics and what's important to the business. Everyone's businesses are different when it comes down to measuring success. So some people already have well-established KPIs. So we try to take those KPIs and add that into any of our automations that we're building. Just even if it's from the small ones, as long as that there's data being captured, we're going to go and put that aside and put that either into a report or into a place that you can go and tap into to find out exactly what is going on.
Okay, perfect. So it sounds like it's something you look at from the start so that you have a goal of what you're going to measure. The next question, what industries do you think are lagging in digital transformation the most?
That's a really good question. I would say agriculture is probably a strong candidate there. It's not just from companies wanting to go out there and provide tools and resources when it comes down to automation and AI or digital transformation. It's the acceptance on the other side, when it comes down to the farmers or even other farming suppliers. There's not a lot of data that's available that's provided out there, because there's a lot of big players out there like John Deere that want to hold on to their data and not share it with anybody. So trying to create something on those ends can be a little bit challenging. Another side could be manufacturing as well for the same type of reasons. A lot of people are already using programs that are capturing information, and not necessarily are these companies willing to share information. And a lot of times we're looking at creating things from scratch for people just to go in and capture data for them.
I'd also just jump in and say the data that we do have also suggests that Canadian government is behind.
Oh, yeah.
It's provincial and federal government lagging behind other G7 countries. The US is ahead of us, but they're not necessarily leaps and bounds ahead of us. But a lot of European countries and even Asian countries are definitely ahead of us where we should be.
And I would also mention universities. I was just coming from one before I launched this business, but yeah, I would say a lot of universities are still stuck in the 80s and 90s when it comes down to their technology, a lot of manual stuff, a lot of bureaucracy. It can be really challenging for them to adopt any of these digital transformation technologies within there. But once it's in there, it makes a world of difference for them.
I often think myself of like any of the companies that are still using fax machines and stuff like that too. Okay, what are some challenges that organizations face when trying to implement digital transformation? So you sort of touched on that a little bit with agriculture and the lack of sharing of data. What are some
Yes,
other
there's
challenges?
also, I would say, is when I was talking about on the change management side of things, is getting everybody involved so they know at the onset that there needs to be an improvement here. You're always going to have employees saying that they rather have things done more efficiently and having things helping them. But even when technology is coming, giving them that rest assuredness that their jobs aren't going to get replaced. And that's kind of the biggest thing on everyone's mind when they always hear automation and AI. I'm going to lose my job. I'm going to lose my job. They're just trying to create something that's going to go and replace me or a department. And I always tell people, like, no, if you're going to go bring in something with technology, AI, and automation, have it being utilized as a tool, make you do your job faster. A lot of times people that are in HR, they're going to go and hire somebody because they see a lot more. It's not that they want you to be spending 6 hours on a small little task. No, they want you to be working on something that's going to improve their business and move forward. So I would say the biggest challenge is getting everybody on board and understanding the purpose of implementing the technology and having everybody come to the same consensus or understanding, or giving people the opportunity to vent, share their concerns, and having somebody that's there to go in and answer these. It goes a long way when it comes down to implementing any technology.
Awesome. Yeah, no, always the human component, I feel like makes it a little bit more challenging too. One last question. I know we're a little past 1 o'clock, so we'll use
Sorry.
the last one to wrap up. No, it was great. You had so much information. So what are some, this is always a hot topic. What are some ethical considerations surrounding the use of artificial intelligence in digital transformation?
I think when it comes down to this is a really big question, and I know I don't have a lot of time, but when you're thinking about what you want your AI to go and do, how you want it to be utilized, it's the same thing when I go and try and develop something for somebody. On the ethics side of things, I want to make sure that they know exactly how this AI is going to be working within their system, that there isn't going to be some surprise, oh, it went and touched on some financial data, or it's answering something in a very incorrect way, or something I wouldn't have said. there's a lot of different ways that you have to go and approach this, that we want to ensure when we go and talk to our clients that they know that they can, rest assured that we have their fears and concerns well in mind, and that they can have that peace of mind when we're doing any of that type of development. So the other part I would say when it comes down to AI is it is knowing how this is going to, once again, coming to that change management, how is it going to impact your employees? Exactly what are you going to allow the AI to go and do? And once again, if you go down the route of trying to have this take over someone's job, then there's risks in there, and that needs to be well established. Knowing that that AI isn't perfect is a really big consideration. But then creating something that would be more utilized as a tool. Once again, how this thing is going to go and work. There's a lot that needs to be coming down from an understanding side of things. I hope that was a good way of explaining it in a short way.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. That was an amazing session. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Gord, for sharing all your insights on automation, AI, navigating digital transformation. So much to take away from everything that you covered today. If you have any questions and want to continue the conversation, don't hesitate to reach out to either Adam or Gord. Their LinkedIns will be put in the chat. If you have any questions about Focus Forward as well, make sure you check out all the resources on expertise in business transformation. And thank you so much for attending today's Tech Mashup. I hope to see you at future events, especially Tech Week. You'll now be returned to your table, so we're going to transport back. We're still going to have the networking floor open till about 1:15, so feel free to connect and talk amongst your peers, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, everybody.